with Money Match Gaming, and today we have a special show. It is the Trustless Degens. This is our Web3 show, Web3 podcast, thing, where we talk about all sorts of buzzwords in cryptocurrency. I'm just going to say it, leave it at buzzwords, because that kind of is what it is. We cover a wide gamut of topics, and our goal here is to, for people that are already deep in crypto, to talk about some things that maybe you missed, because as you know, then as somebody who's already in crypto, it's really easy to miss things. You get sectored off into your area of crypto, and then maybe you miss everything else. And for people that are brand new to crypto, I feel like it'll be nice for you to hear things from people that are actually practicing the crypto industry. Not necessarily the big names. I feel like even for big names and stuff like that, it's like at a certain point you're busy making content and you're not necessarily really in it. You're probably getting fed a lot more stuff than you're actually doing, and that's just how life goes. But this show is here to fix that and to bridge the gap for folks. So I am Smurf here, your host to say, and we'll let this top line go through it. We have Rex Satoshi, then Bitfiend. If you guys want to introduce yourselves, Rex Satoshi.
Hey guys, I'm Rex Satoshi. I'm truly just someone who's here to learn all I can and share my experiences and try to help the next person. I'll leave it at that and give it up to Bitfiend.
What's up, guys? How we doing? My name is Bitfiend. I've been in the crypto space for a long time, 2014, and haven't done too much podcasts or anything like that, but I've been following the space and investing ever since, and it's come a long way. I've been waiting a long time for the days that we're in, and definitely happy to be here and very bullish.
Love that. Yeah, you want to pass the mic? I'll let you choose.
Let's go, OSB. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Mike's yours, buddy.
Appreciate you, my good friend, Bitfiend. Guys, I appreciate you, Smurf, and Satoshi. Appreciate you guys for having us up on your podcast show, and very great honor it is. My name is Chris Gonzalez. I go by the name of OSB VMT. It's my brand name, but I also go by Biometa as my metaverse name. I am a digital architect, a consultant, and an event plan organizer, also known as an event consultant. I also have ties with the music industry and the video production industry in the IRL world and metaverse. Practicing now Web3 and crypto, it's what's my goal now, to become one of the leading, biggest phygital. I say phygital because it's a new concept that I'm pushing for, which stands for physical and digital, and also a multiverse experience, which means not only having our events into the real world, into the metaverse, but into multiple metaverses and multiple social media platforms. Again, I am the Director of Communications at Beaverse and the CEO of OSB VMT, short for our social board, Virtual Meta Technology. And it's a great pleasure to meet all of you guys straight from the East Coast, New York City, right by the center of the heart of New York in Manhattan, right by Times Square, New York. I'm happy to say hello to everybody, and a great pleasure it is to meet everyone else in the room.
All right, thank you. Guess we pass the mic to Alpha Angels.
Hi, I'm Alpha Angels. Thank you again for allowing us to be here. I appreciate your time, guys. My background is in network marketing. I had 4 years in network marketing before I found Decentraland in November 2021. And prior to Decentraland, I had no background in crypto. I was mainly focused in stocks and just dabbling in there. But once I learned about Decentraland and I learned about Mana, and it was really the first coin that opened up my mind that I could really use it. I could use this, I could like utilize this coin. It opened up my mind to the possibilities of what is this world about? What is it? What is a virtual world? What is the metaverse? And what is Web3? So I dived down the rabbit hole, and fast forward till today, I'm a metaverse consultant. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a co-founder of a mastermind council that we know today as Beaverse, and it all started with the training and support that we had in December and November, when we just week by week we came together as a small group, and we just had little conversations like this, and we created conversations, and we tried to find solutions, and we try to, share ideas and brainstorm. And then it grew to a Twitter Spaces, and now we host that weekly every Thursday night on Twitters, and we jump into Clubhouse here and there, and we focus on creating a network in Decentraland as our home, but we focus on creating a network that we can travel through the metaverse with, and it started in Decentraland. So thank you again for allowing us to be here.
All right, awesome. Yeah. Thank you for joining us. It sounds like you guys are deep down the rabbit hole as well, and I feel like that's the type of person people that we want to have on the show. So yeah, thank you for joining us. As I mentioned a bit Fiend earlier this week, for me it's also kind of like a relief moment during the week, being so much into crypto. At some point you start speaking, I want to say, I'm like, what's a hard learned language to learn? Like maybe Mandarin. You're speaking Mandarin to everybody, and it's just like they don't really get you. So there's so many dialects of Mandarin, right? So I feel like that's a perfect fit for crypto. But yeah, we have some general topics that we kind of want to sway to today while we make our way around things. But generally speaking, we also want to open up just have an open floor for folks as we touch on different topics. What your opinion is of those, how those might relate to something that you're doing, or if you have an experience with those. So I'll start things off by saying a few basic headlines that I wanted to cover, more so in the crypto space. This first one is more of a macro situation, and I feel like you guys maybe have heard about this stuff recently, but just the Jerome Powell's comments at Jackson Hole, and so again, this is more of a macro topic and feeling type thing. We were speaking before the show, and I believe as Bitfiend said, what do you read? And one of the last sources that I was talking about reading was, BBC. And it's not necessarily that I just care about like general news topics or whatever, but which can be interesting. But it's more so the international business level of things and the tidbits that you get into people's psychology and their emotions. And that's why I wanted to mention that. And also I wanted to mention Jackson Hole, and just see how the room felt like. I don't know, or if the room even feels like anything mentioned by the Fed in these type of situations changes anything around the parts of the industry that you're in. For me, as somebody who's like, I feel like pretty deep in DeFi, I feel like I can feel when the Fed speaks or when somebody from the Fed speaks, and it does whatever it does that time to the market. But maybe that's different, and one of your other wings are you feel differently about it. So yeah, I wanted to pass the mic up. Whoever wants to go first, and just see what you guys' opinion of the most recent comments were from Jerome Powell, or if you even know about them, which was that basically the Fed's just going to continue to tighten things. And if I need to jump into quantitative tightening and quantitative easing for anybody, I'd do a brief summary to the general audience out there, which is just the quantitative easing is basically pushing more money into the market. And in a capitalist society, where does that money go? It goes to businesses. It flows into businesses and then it flows back out to people. And quantitative tightening is basically pulling that money back out. And these are doing very broad like explanations here. But quantitative tightening is pulling that money back out of the system. So the Fed can print money into the system and they can pull it back out. When you pull it back out, things get more expensive. So sorry for that explainer to anybody on the podcast that already knows, but yeah, open the floor.
Man, I'll go first. I think that it seems like the Fed is playing chicken with the market and the market's playing chicken with the Fed. I thought it was interesting that I didn't really know about Jackson Hole until probably a day or two before it was popping up, and I feel like it was just kind of like the Fed reminding everyone that they're still here, and that this was truly like a bear market rally, and that they're gonna come back to act like they care about inflation again here in the next month. I listened to a little bit of the history on Jackson Hole, and I guess they were at first they were doing the meeting in Kansas City, I think, but the head of the Fed wouldn't really go to Kansas City to go to this meeting that everyone was having, so they moved it I'm not sure exactly if Jackson is the city that it's in. I think Jackson Hole is like a some type of like resort almost like. But they have fly fishing there. So the head of the Fed, or they lured the head of the Fed to this meeting with fly fishing. So he would come, and he went, and now they do it every year. And I think that the Fed's gonna either keep tightening until something breaks, or they're gonna keep tightening until enough of their constituents or the people who they really care about want them to stop. But the remarks that he made were interesting because he was talking about the labor market, and a lot of what he was saying that we're going to kind of balance inflation by kind of wrecking the labor market, which was really fascinating to me. It's kind of all I have as far as Jackson Hole, just that people should watch out for the labor market, because I don't know if that just means that they want to push unemployment, or they want to push people's wages down, or what they're going to do exactly. But I think it's pretty interesting. I think it really affects like the crypto market and the stock market, and in DeFi, because most everything we have going on is just speculation. So with them pushing interest rates up, and I don't know how far they can keep pushing them up. People say that they can't go that far, but like I said, we're playing chicken with them to figure out when they're gonna turn and start lowering rates again.
I'm interested from like either OSB or Alpha Angels, somebody from the Bitverse or Bverse. How does that, is anything like that affecting? Do you see that affecting the NFT space? In metaverses, is that how is that affecting things, if at all? And do you specifically around these events? And I mean, in general, the market's in a downturn, right? But specifically when these type of things, do you feel anything in those times?
Yeah, for sure. One thing I wanted to say is, Rec, you mentioned a great point. I was like, the Fed is always going to remind us that they're there. They're going to remind us in the shadows. They're going to keep reminding us. They're going to keep poking us, and they're going to keep finding ways to let us know that you're not really decentralized as you think. like we're always here. And even these NFT projects, we'll get in that later. Like, they're not safe either. And I think you're right. Like, we do feel it. Even like I wasn't aware of like the comments or like the Jackson Hole. But thank you guys for bringing that up. But we feel it even if we aren't aware of it. Like you said, we're in a downturn market, and our metaverse feels it. You can feel it within the community. There's certain turmoil within each other, because we're all feeling it. Like personally, we're all feeling it financially, and it's like kind of like projecting it on each other while we're in these worlds with each other daily and weekly and monthly. And I think when I came in the bull market, I came in November when Facebook just changed their name to Meta, so Metaverse was hot. The whole community was like different. It was like, like if it was pure, WAGMI, we all gonna make it, like, And then as the market downturned, yeah, we did feel it a lot. Yeah, I would agree.
I think it's crazy how the liquidity in the market, like all of a sudden within a span of probably like a month and a half, from like November to like January, just kind of the liquidity was just gone. Like everything just started drying up, and especially with NFTs, like everything just kind of pulled into the top NFTs that are on OpenSea or Solana. Solana really got wrecked, I think.
Yep.
That's an interesting point.
Metaverse and NFTs.
That's an interesting point that you kind of mentioned with that, where the liquidity does evaporate, right? And then it kind of draws into a few projects. Very much just like cryptocurrency as a whole, where I feel like this isn't my first, a bear market. And so I feel like the last one was like ridiculously drastic. It was like everybody's like running for the hills. And I feel like part of that is it just came so quickly at one point. But Yeah, kind of experienced the same thing last time, and you see the projects that have real utility. You start to look for what real utility is. One word that I've been seeing going around in crypto Twitter over the last month or so in the DeFi space has been real yield. That's not to say that projects haven't always had this concept of real yield, but that now in a bear market we should actually be thinking about what real yield is. And I'm like, that's wild, y'all. We really just had projects that's running out here with the pants off. But yeah, it was this exact same thing. We're seeing the same thing in NFTs. Just that everything kind of consolidates to those major projects that are actually doing something, and that we're actually thinking about revenue models in the beginning and actual utility for if it was an NFT, the actual NFT. And OSB, you got your hand up, so let me just.
Hey Smurf, thanks for giving me the mic. I appreciate you, my good friend.
Yeah.
I do want to say, just touch up and tap a little bit on the federal aspect on how we feel that impact and the NFT and crypto side. I was not aware of that situation. So like Alpha Angels mentioned, thank you for giving us that knowledge. Again, there's certain things that happen in the Web3 space, and this just proves that the Web3 space is huge. As you can see, the metaverse is very intertwined with cryptocurrency. But believe it or not, it's like two different universes. Because, I mean, the metaverse is the metaverse and crypto is crypto. But yet, the metaverse is powered by crypto, right? So you would think that a lot of people in the metaverse would be aware of situations like that. But ultimately, there are individuals that are. I mean, crypto is the main powering of what the metaverse is with Ethereum, Polygon, and so there are certain other networks as well that are affiliates of the metaverse and how it's powered by with their blockchain. But with the federal government, let's talk about the federal government. We all know what they did to Al Capone, and he couldn't get away from tax evasion. And at the end of the day, they find their money. They want to make sure that their bills are being paid. And when you ask yourself, what bills do the federal government have? Well, let's talk about our country, and how much money we're in debt. I mean, obviously, it's a circulation of money. Crypto has been shown to prove a substantial growth and making many individuals rich fast. And you think people in the government agencies do not notice that? Of course, they want to control that. Of course, more money comes with less taxes. So they want to keep that ratio of people who are, of course, wealthy, not to a high number, because who's going to pay the taxes then? Because if the wealthiest people right now, the ones that are paying the lowest taxes, then who are really going to pay the highest percentage of taxes? So why not be involved in the cryptocurrency and try to manipulate it if it's considered a decentralized universe or organization? Why not sort of manipulate what surrounds it, but not the actual platform? Because of what affects the metaverse is the community members who are in it and what surrounds it. So if they affect the surroundings of it, it affects the metaverse. So they're not ultimately altering directly the metaverse, but they're causing a chain reaction, basically, a domino effect. The federal government has their format, and they're pretty smart of having smart methods of having their control tactics on what they want to control on when they feel the time is right to control it, of course. They've let us go through these bear markets to see how we, as a group and a community, would react, and how can we come out of situations like that. And they learn from that. These are analytics and statistics that they're just writing down for ultimately the big plan down the road. From what you guys have mentioned, it raises an alarm, actually, because we have a lot of people who are really investing big money into these projects. And some people are investing their whole life savings. They're putting their mortgage loans and houses on the line for personal loans and investing all of that into the space. Now, if the federal government comes in and wants to alter the whole process of how financial, the logistics behind the financial institution of how crypto works, what could be the effect if they decide to increase taxes on individuals only in metaverses and besides crypto investors? What if they had a selective tax bracket for selective communities? things like this we have to start thinking about, because there's brackets to this. There's real brackets to this. You're not gonna see cryptocurrency gains as you would see in the metaverse games. There's two different platforms, believe it or not, but they're powered by the same thing, by cryptocurrency. There's different beliefs behind it. Of course, like you guys said, it's powered by hype. So ultimately, what really is the backbone of the metaverse? The community and what we create behind it. Federal government sees that, they see opportunity. The doors right now can go any way. Ultimately, at this point, we just have to see how the crypto market plays out after this bear market. And I think if we bounce back up, we're going to see some sort of control with the federal government within the ecosystem of cryptocurrency because of several bear markets and statistical analytics that they have accumulated from us bouncing back from these situations. I mean, we're just basically giving them research and knowledge of what's to come and what they could and possibly could do with us in the future. But just passing the mic back over again, guys, and thank you for just giving me that light of knowledge. It really sparked that theory that I just mentioned to you guys, and it just raised some awareness on my behalf. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Gotcha. I want to hear something from Bitfiend, but before we go, I wanted to make a quick distinction about two different things. One, because and not that anything that you're saying is wrong, but one just a quick distinction for people. Jerome Powell, who we were speaking about at the Jackson Hole, Wyoming thing, is the Federal Reserve, and this is something that people get confused in political situations too. And I'm going to mention political here as a statement really quickly in two different ways. But people confuse about the Federal Reserve in a political sense often in the United States, where during the Trump times, Trump would often talk about the Fed, and oftentimes he was not. Sometimes yes, we're talking about party lines and this and that, but oftentimes he was not talking about, and people just took it that way, and it made people fight that much more because they're like, oh, he's talking about party lines, Democrat or Republican. But when he was talking about the Fed, oftentimes he was talking about the Federal Reserve. A lot of people miss that message. The Federal Reserve is different than the federal government. They party together, they play together. And they, and the Federal Reserve came out of necessity from the federal government. The federal government needed a federal bank in a situation, and people in America, we got trust issues and stuff. And also, this is like private entities, and so other than we having trust issues and not trusting the government too much, right? We got so we had a private entity come up, and that's the Federal Reserve. So the Federal Reserve is actually separate from the government. It's its own branch of not government. It's a bank. It was started by J.P. Morgan and a bunch of other rich people, like the richest people that you've heard in books, Rockefeller and all this other stuff. They helped start the Federal Reserve. So it's like the richest of the rich started this for us. But yeah, that's what we were talking about with Jerome Powell, who was the chairman, I believe, of the Federal Reserve. I think that's their highest seat. And he made these statements about what they call being hawkish, which just means that things are going to get tighter. Like if you thought the gas break was nice, maybe the gas break step back on and prices, you're like, whoa, what's happening? And when you have those what's happening moments, even if it's more subtle, but you start to notice these things, it's because of these things that are happening behind the scenes. And this is a layer of things that I like to call. I want to hand it over to Bitfiend, but this is a layer of things that I like. That is politics. I feel like oftentimes, again, in America specifically, maybe not in other countries. I don't know. I'm from America, but we get confused with politics, and we think that it's only elected officials, and that's not true. You had politics when you were in high school and in college and whatever the heck. Who likes who's talking about that, who started this, and those aren't elected officials. You still have the elected class president or school, whatever the heck. But there was a different level of politics going on, and there's always politics behind the scene. Those are just businesses, corporations and whatnot, or in banks, because banks have stocks, baby. What's the number one bank stock? The same people that started the Fed. And I don't want to get conspiracy or anything like that, but those are just good distinctions to know when we're talking about the federal government that do have their reasons for controlling the cryptocurrency and stuff like that, in the Federal Reserve, which is a private entity, just for the sake of education. That was my piece.
It's funny that you were talking about how the Federal Reserve is not part of the bank or not a part of the government, because the Federal Reserve is as Federal Express. They're not federal at all. And it's pretty much why I got into cryptos originally. it gets a little bit on the conspiracy side because I watched the Zeitgeist, the movie, back in like 2009, and it talks about the way currency works in the beginning. And then in 2014, I discovered cryptos, and knowing already the existence of digital currencies such as World of Warcraft gold that is infinite but still has value, to me it was a no-brainer because of how Bitcoin works and how it's limited and rare.
Yeah.
So I mean, as far as the Fed, like, obviously I don't trust them. When someone says Fed, I think of the Federal Reserve, but I also think of the IRS, and they kind of intertwine, but the IRS calls the shots based on what the IRS owes to the Federal Reserve Bank. So that's like, to me, we're on an inevitable downward spiral that will end up in the collapse of the US dollar. The average lifespan of a currency is like 100 years, or maybe give or take.
Thank you for saying that. I don't want to, but like, I had this conversation with my father like a year or two ago, a few years ago, and I was like, the average lifespan of the currency is only so long.
Right.
And he was like, the United States dollar has been around for, I'm like, how in the last like 100 years, how many times the United States dollar has changed? Like, is it really the same dollar?
Right. And especially from like the original banknotes, I think is what they were called or something. I don't
like,
remember. The greenbacks.
Depending on what state, and then greenbacks, yeah. Eventually, continental dollars before that.
Yep, it's changed a lot over the years, and it's because it didn't work as they progressed. And so, like, I don't trust the dollar myself. It's a depreciating, or what is it, inflationary asset. It's every dollar that gets printed is owed back to the federal bank plus interest. So if I borrow $1 and I owe $1.10, but I need them to print me the 10 cents that I owe them, which then I still owe them an additional penny for those 10 cents. It's like a downward spiral of perpetuity that it's never going to stop. It's never going to end. Our founding fathers knew about it. The fact that our founding fathers knew about it means that the federal bank they know what's going on, and cryptos is the solution, and everything is migrating towards blockchain, Web3, everything. And so I just think they're scrambling. Do I think they're going to continue to tighten? Yes, because people are paying. That's why. Like, if people are paying, then they're going to continue to tighten. Do I think they want it to collapse? Yeah. I have a friend who's a business owner. I mean, he owns a big business, or bigger than mine at least, but he also rubs shoulders with like really wealthy individuals in my area, and they're all on the same boat. They're doing a lot of prepping, and I saw this coming. I saw the crash coming. I was gonna pull out, but I didn't want to give the IRS one penny, so I'd rather not owe taxes.
Yeah, I'm like,
so I've lived poor my whole life. So I'm just going to continue to go to work. My back is fine. So as long as I can work and make money, I don't need $1,000 when I can just go earn it.
Exactly.
And I always live by, like, I've learned over the years, be greedy when others are fearful. And that's where we're at right now. People are fearful, and it's all about buying the assets. And it's not just with Bitcoin or cryptos, it's really any asset that really isn't a dollar. I mentioned currencies averaging 100 or 120 years on a lifespan. Silver is actually the longest standing currency in the world. Roman soldiers used to get paid silver for their monthly wage back in the day. And so I buy silver myself. It's another asset that I get. It's probably one of the most decentralized assets on the planet, because you can go to the store with cash, no questions asked, buy yourself some silver, and go home and no one knows you have it. There's no way to trace it. So the thing about silver is Apple bought a silver mine. Instead of buying silver from a mine, they just bought the whole mine.
I mean, smart.
We have Ford and General Motors shutting down plants because of the lack of silver, and then at the same time the silver mines would generally or normally sell their silver and hold cash reserves in USD, but now they're holding silver as their reserves.
That's really interesting. This topic that you're going on with like the silver thing, and I want to mention to anybody that's listening or that finds this later that we do have a crypto 101 series that I started at Money Match Gaming. So I do like and that I do some really macro type of topics, and kind of breakdown of like currency and whatnot. And one of the things we talked about was silver. And specifically I was talking about silver because we were talking about the history of the United States dollar, where it actually came from, this changeover, we had dollars that were backed by rice at one point, like rice or tobacco depending on the state, and they just those are I'm like, those are the first meme tokens.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Those are the first meme tokens, and we like a lot some of the stuff like the continental dollar and the greenbacks. We do get brushes of that in our history books, but they just tell you that the currency, the currency back then was this. No detail. It's not important. Why would we want to teach you the game? And the first video of our series is called How to Play the Game. But why would they want to teach you the game? But yeah, the silver thing, we talked about it in this 101 series because this kid was with us, he's like 19, 20. And I'm like, yeah, did you know quarters, depending on what quarter you have in your pocket, is worth quite a bit more money than just a quarter. I'm like, you should be smart with your quarters and stuff like that. And he's like, oh, you're joking, blah blah. And so we went through like a little rabbit hole of like, how much was in a quarter and what happened with the quarter and how they stripped quarters down. And that's not the first time that it happened. It happened back in China, like ancient China and other countries and stuff like that, where first they had a circular currency. Then, and most people, when you think about like an old school Chinese coin or something like that, you might think about it with like a square in the middle of it or something like that. That's like, oh, we contribute this to whatever type of ancient coin. They did that because it took some of that material out, because the material is valuable, and we're giving people this money, but like it can still represent that amount. And we can take some of that money back. And we did that exact same thing with silver here in the United States, where a quarter used to be silver. You had a silver dollar, which is a specific amount of a quarter, and then over time silver has just gotten more and more expensive, and the quarter and the dollar, anything related to it's a system where it's inflationary, and so it just became worthless and worthless, less and less and less. You can see that from like a CPI chart. But yeah, eventually they just stripped all this metal out of the quarters, and like I forget what year it was, but like, yeah, they just like did like big runs for just taking quarters. But yeah, check the quarters in your pockets. Always the people and stuff. One way of acquiring some amount of silver is check the quarters in your pockets. That some of them might not be full silver, but you'll be surprised to look up that information and see how much an actual quarter is worth in silver versus how much is actually worth in United States dollars. Because giving your quarter to the right person is getting yourself $75, $1.25, way more than 25 cents out of your quarter. It's crazy.
Yeah, the real easy way to tell if your quarter is silver is to just put it on its side. So if you see that copper tint on the side of the quarter, then it's not silver. But if you don't see that copper tint, then you got yourself a winner.
I wonder, like, what's the process of like, because like even then, some of them still have like some amounts of silver in it, and it's a matter of well, now I think we're like all the way copper, but. Yeah, for the ones that like, what's the I'm sure silversmith or whatever they are called know how to take those amounts out. But yeah, sorry, that's like really interesting point that you were going on with the silver. I'm like, dude, love that.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, like I said, I think that I think they want it to collapse. I think that they like JP Morgan. There's so many big companies and big institutional investors. Huge money is pouring into cryptos silently.
So you think they wanted to collapse so that they get in at a nice low price?
Yeah, like I have a feeling that the next bull run is gonna make it almost too late. Like this is like the last bull run to be truly early.
Because I'm like, well, what happens when at this point, Bitcoin backs up to Robert, I'm going to go off of Robert Kiyosaki number, author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, and also Rich Dad Radio if you want a good podcast. But his number was guy. Like, and I don't agree with everything Robert says. I think Robert you're an old man, Robert. But you're a brilliant man, and I do love you. But what was it with this? Oh no, just lost the topic. Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Radio. I lost it.
Was it with the silver?
No, we were.
No, the price of Bitcoin, the floor.
Oh, yeah, his
price
floor. Yeah,
action.
Robert's floor. Excuse me. Yeah, Robert's
Yeah,
floor is
that's
like around $10,000, $11,000. Thank you for that.
Yeah. The $10,000 Bitcoin days are gone forever. I'm gonna say that now
You don't think we're gonna
because
touch
it's what I
10,000?
believe. No. So
I think
I don't
14,000 is
have-
reasonable.
I don't have proof of this, but
Yeah, that's cool. I said 15. Yeah, you're
I'm
right.
happy to actually say it. But when Bitcoin first hit 1,000, it dropped, and then when it passed 1,000, it like went to like 5 and 6, and then we had the bull run where it hit 20 grand. At that point, I said the $1,000 Bitcoin days are gone for absolute ever. You'll never see it again.
But then it touched like
And-
2,000 something.
3,800 is what I believe it hit. Maybe it was a little lower, but
And like
I
it can be
remember-
lower in different places sometimes.
I
where,
think
like,
the March.
average can
I
still
think
be.
the March crash from COVID
Yeah.
was like 38.
Yeah, 3,800. That was the lowest point. And so it's funny because I remember Eric asking me like what I thought the floor was. This was back in the Dlive days was, and I said like any Bitcoin under $10,000 is a steal. All you have to do is hold on to it long enough. But $1,000 is never going to happen again. So he's like, what's like the safe? And I remember telling him like the floor is going to be around $3,000 or $4,000, simply because the same thing, it's exponential. If you look at the chart, you can see that every few years Bitcoin just likes to add a zero, and so that $200 to $300 range that it hit the first time when it crashed below 1,000, add that zero, about $3,000. And I mean, I just kind of saw it. I remember telling Eric like $3,800 or 4,000. I was actually pretty close, and he probably doesn't remember now because it was so long ago. But I even remember telling my boss, get in now. It's and he laughed like because it's a pandemic and shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, no way. I'm gonna he ended up losing $90,000 in cash.
Yeah.
So like,
I mean,
it,
look, I was working.
crazy.
I was working with a startup around that
He
time.
didn't actually
I tried
buy
telling him to do that.
cryptos. Yeah, he didn't actually buy. He held on to his cash.
Oh,
But then he legit lost the cash. It's just gone.
What did you? I'm like, you could have like,
You
thrown a
coulda
dart at a board and got a stock if you want to go.
Yeah, pretty much. But he knows, and he's pretty good at like marking or like the top point of the market, but he never buys. He just plays the game instead of actually getting it. So he definitely missed out. But like I said, be greedy when others are fearful, and that's kind of where I'm at. Everybody's scared. I mean, shit, I'm worried too. I'm barely making it as it is because the money just isn't there. Even my day job, the work isn't coming in like it used to. So the recession, whatever this is, it's definitely hit all across the board. It's definitely hit Decentraland. Absolutely. I have NFTs that, man, I really regret buying now. It's a great way to turn like $12,000 into 1,000.
I feel you on that, man. I'm laughing because I feel your pain.
Yeah,
But
for real.
at the same time, there's a project that I got into that got cease and desist ordered by Texas, and
Time to move.
the floor is still booming, where all my losses over the last 8 months from what I invested has been made up. Like if I sold all of those NFTs right now, I get all my investment back. So it's just crazy because it's a sandbox metaverse called San Vegas Casino Club, and they're backed by NFTs. They got cease and desist ordered, so now I'm fucked because I'm in America and I can't even go to their website. So like I don't even think I can claim any kind of royalties with my NFTs. So I'm just waiting for that floor to go up a little bit more, and then I'm gonna have to get out.
Xbox users often take trips to New Zealand. Maybe you should take a trip sometime.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Every now and then, take a trip so that I can claim my royalties. That's kind of where I'm at too.
Yeah. Cool. Let me just to keep the topic, the conversation rolling, we got quite a bit off of there and like went in quite a few different directions off of just that one macro topic of which was Jerome Powell and these comments by the Fed at Jackson Hole. I feel like there was a lot of information to unpack there and learn if you run the tapes back. But my second topic is more of a degen topic. This one could also branch in a bunch of different directions because I'm going to mention this one, but feel free to give me we can go around and you guys share your experience with DeFi or with more degen DeFi, or if you're more of a serious player. Kind of curious, especially somebody who I work for a DeFi project other than doing this, and I'm involved in DeFi, but now I'm actually working in crypto. So interested to hear your take on those things. But this topic is Dogechain and the recent DC airdrop.
Dogechain?
Yes. Have you heard of Dogechain?
No.
Dogecoin. And I got to keep putting these TikToks out and stuff like that. I'm like, Dogecoin has a chain now. And the funniest part about it is the creators of Dogecoin are like, we have nothing to do with it. Yeah, you bad project. Like, they don't want to be associated with it at all.
Right.
Which is fair. But if they were smart, they would have done this themselves. Like, why wouldn't you give your project a layer 2 so that people can do NFTs, DeFi, everything else on Doge?
Dogecoin has a
layer 2.
Chain,
it's a layer 2 for using Polygon
for smart contracts.
You make a great point. They should have did it themselves.
This is like when I was talking.
So you're
to the
saying
homies,
we could run smart contracts on Doge?
On
now.
Doge, yes.
100%.
Everything that's been on anything that's been successful on other chains, you can just throw it on Doge right now.
Wow, I gotta buy my Doge
so
back.
low. The liquidity is so low. I played a Richard Hart clip from like a few weeks ago where he's like, they're like, how hard is it to get into Hex right now?
I heard
it's difficult, and it's like, but that's where all the money is made, when things are difficult and there's no liquidity.
I heard about them implementing a smart contract chain for Dogecoin. I just didn't know I didn't know they were actually serious.
It's pretty wild.
It needed that.
Pretty wild.
Like gas fees are like nothing.
Yeah, it's like 0.01, 0.001 Doge or something. Like it's
wow.
Yeah. It's can we get the 50-cent Doge so that these matter like a little?
Jesus Christ, I might have to buy Doge.
Dude, the liquidity's been going up too on that. That's what I said, and this is the thing that I've been telling people is that if you've never been that active in DeFi, because it's expensive on Ethereum. When I started DeFi on Ethereum, I probably blew like $400 or $500 the first night. I don't have $400 or $500 to be blowing, but I knew that it takes money to make money, and it takes money to make money in cryptocurrency, and I had been through a bull market and stuff like that, so I did it anyways, and I made all that money back. But the same situation, if you felt like Ethereum was too much, because for a lot of people that's just going to cancel you out. You're going to be like, people are losing how much money on a failed transaction or whatever the heck. No, I'm not doing that. And a lot of the DeFi, real DeFi, is on Ethereum, and on Binance Smart Chain and Phantom and stuff like that now, but maybe you don't want to do all that work. This is the time to learn how to do it, especially if you hold Dogecoin, because your Doge really got no purpose. Your Doge actually has the ability to do some financial stuff, some NFTs, some really cool stuff now.
Holy shit. So it's funny that you say that, because like I was collecting Doge since 2014. I don't know, like from all the faucets and whatnot. And I probably got like over 43,000 total. And I didn't sell, or I sold between 50 and 70 cents.
Good time.
And I definitely, hearing this, like I still have some Doge, like I probably still have like 5 or 10,000 left, and I definitely would use it. Like that's really,
I just have a
really bullish on Doge. And it's funny because a lot of people talk shit about Doge.
This is why I've been talking shit about Doge though. I'm like, they have nothing like this going.
Right. And it's funny because there's no other actual official meme coin in the crypto space other than Doge. I mean, Shiba Inu's trying, and like they've made great waves, and like there's still potential with Shiba Inu. But Doge is and will always be like the #1 official like meme crypto, but it's serious business, and it's always been like that. And the community has always kind of been a wag me style community when it comes to Dogecoin. So I fully support it. I don't believe in buying Doge because of how much I got for free over the last 7-8 years. But now it's like, damn, it might be smart.
It's not a bad investment.
It really isn't. It's Doge.
For a small amount. Yes, and that's
Doge is never ever going to go away, ever.
I don't think so. And I think this solidifies it. Like my goal is to start with like just like 1,000. What was that? I thought it would start with like 1,500.
Gotta get me a drink.
And use the DeFi over there to learn DeFi and just stack your Doge up. You don't need miners anymore. You can just do DeFi and earn more Doge. Especially if you already had Doge.
I gotta say though, like even if DeFi is the strongest, one of the strongest things I've ever used with crypto. I fucking love DeFi. Like automated money makers, all of that, like decentralized autonomous organizations. But the biggest thing is DeFi because it's all run by DAOs basically, and I mean it's beautiful. I didn't actually learn too much about Ethereum because ever since the first bull run, the gas prices were bullshit, and I don't want to pay that. Not the first bull, but the 2018 bull run, and it wasn't until I started using Binance Smart Chain that I really learned like everything there is to learn about Web3 because I could perform any transaction very cheaply. And it's the same thing with Polygon and Solana, AVAX, like any of these smart contract blockchains, they are all
the same. You just gotta learn that one. After those people learn that one, they're gonna like have their minds blown. Like
if you can use one, you can use them all. And even if it's
that's so true.
Even if you have ETH or Solana or AVAX and you just cherish your wallet. So some people forget you can just make a new wallet. You can have more than one MetaMask, not a new wallet within the same MetaMask, but a whole new wallet that is like a fuck all. Who cares if you lose one AVAX that's worth $20? Or, Doge is an amazing start with that chain because
crazy.
You buy 1,000 Doge for like what, $200 or something?
Oh, less
$100.
I think it's about 100, probably even less than 100 now. Probably that it's taken a little dip from 8 cents.
I believe it.
Yeah, and they just gave you, if you did that, they just, what is it? I sent about 140 something like that dollars. It took like a $3 fee or something like that, the way they like to send it over to my Dogechain account, and they did their first airdrop for the DC token, which was about, I don't know how much it gave me now, but it was like $60 at the time. $60 worth of this DC token. I'm like, I sent 150 over. You gave me a $60 airdrop in a bear market? What if I sent big money? That's just crazy to me. It's just crazy. Like these opportunities are still floating out in crypto. Crypto's wild. Bro.
Yeah, I think that with the next bull run that if Dogechain increases its liquidity and its total value locked, the opportunity that people who've been stacking Dogecoin is going to be massive. Just because I feel like Doge is like probably the third or fourth most popular crypto. Everyone knows Bitcoin. Most people know Ethereum, and then maybe like a XRP or something, and then you have Dogechain. And just because the reason I say that is because most people who I talk about crypto on, like just the ground level, just my friends or people who work, people I work with, they talk about how they have Dogecoin, and I sit there and tell them like, why? Like, what are you like?
What are you doing with it?
What do you have Dogecoin for? And it's just a meme coin. I think that just the amount of people that hold it, like Mark Cuban's pushing it, Elon's pushing it. I think that
they're not talking about Dogechain though. Silly.
Not yet. It would be wild if Doge was just like the accepted form of currency between peers. Like, hey,
yeah, that kind of threw me off that you said Dogechain and Doge aren't related at all.
Isn't it though? Like, yeah, I want to hear you two. I want to hear both of your opinion from Beavers down there. What's your take on what's your experience with DeFi? Your take on this with Dogechain? It's like more of a community project. So I'm really interested in your take.
Yeah, so like that blew me away. I don't really like look. I'm also one of the guys who's like, yeah, I don't really if I can't really use the coin, besides Bitcoin, I was like, if I can't really use the coin, I don't really invest in it. Like, I don't invest in the hype. Like, Elon Musk will push the coin. Yeah, I'm scared of that coin. Like, if you can just drop a tweet and the whole coin, like, see,
Smart
that
move.
scares me. Yeah. But my experience in DeFi is mainly decentral autonomous organizations. Like, Decentraland really taught me a lot about a DAO, and like allowing a world to be built by its community users. And that was really like changing my whole perception of where these companies are going to start going, and even schools and like university and governments. I think they're all going to start transferring over to DAOs, and that will be our democracy. I think it's going to get interesting when you can go to college and major in DeFi.
Yeah.
It's happening.
It is like I told my buddy, like, now it's like 2 years ago. I told him when this stuff was starting, and I tried to get him to get a MetaMask wallet and stuff. It's too difficult. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then he
People
like
ask
me like a month ago.
yeah. People ask me all the time, and it's like, if you can't I can't sit here and teach you. I can point you in the right direction, but at that point you have to be willing to learn, and you have to actually sit down and nerd out.
Yeah.
And if that's not your gig, you're never gonna get it. But I tell people all the time, I mean, DeFi is like the heart of Web3 right now, and it's only the beginning. And the thing is that Web3 is the future.
Yeah.
They go hand in hand. We have Web 1. Everybody knows. If nobody knows the difference between Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3, it's, in layman's terms, Web 1 is getting online, getting people connected to the internet, which is America Online. That was a long time ago. Web 2 is e-commerce and social media, getting people to not just browse content, but add content. So social media, YouTube, eBay, all that stuff. And Web 3 is the biggest massive restructuring of the back end infrastructure of the internet and how we use it. It's a solution. It's a huge solution. So many people don't see it, but it's there, and it's going to take over. And I tell people all the time, you might as well learn it now, because there are already educators that I know personally, and like Scott Moore on Decentraland. You can follow him on Twitter. He's a teacher, and he actually teaches his students how to make Web3 wallets, MetaMasks. They actually have their own crypto coin that and smart contract within the classroom that the children share amongst each other, and they use it as a classroom currency, basically. So it's only the beginning, and like, I think it was Alpha or OSB that said it. It's only a matter of time before you can major in DeFi and go to college for it.
Yeah. I don't see why that wouldn't happen. I was saying like a few years ago, I told my buddy, like, I imagine this will become a job for people. Like, people, like, like the same way, like, if it's a financial system and structure, and we have jobs for it in traditional finance, then there would have to be jobs for it in Web3. And
Exactly.
somebody's, and other than just like there being jobs for it, people have to educate other people. So there has to be educators for it. There need to be educators. There need to be practitioners. There need to be all sorts of other portions. But I was like, yeah, that's probably going to happen in like 2 years. I need to get really like educated on this stuff. That was 2 years ago. And like now I got hired for a job. They were like, yeah, we want somebody that like actually understands, Web3 and DeFi. And I'm like, that's crazy.
And
It's like, it's happening. Go for it, Alpha. Sorry.
My bad, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just
Oh, no,
saying,
you're
like,
good.
and time flies in this space. So it's
Yeah.
like that 2 years is really like compacted like a 5 to 10 years like of experience of like what you've really learned within those 2 years. Because I feel like just within my last 9 months, I feel like each month was a year. So like maybe yours was like 2 decades, but I feel like it's pretty insane when you really think about how much you can learn in this space, and especially during these bear markets, who you're gonna meet. You're gonna meet the people who are really gonna stick it out and really dedicated, and they believe in the technology, and they understand blockchain is the completion of globalization, and they believe in the vision, and it doesn't matter what the market is, they're not going to bend or fold. They're going to keep building these projects that are solutions to this space and pushing it forward. And you're going to find them during these bear markets when projects are getting washed and rugs are getting, cleaned. But during the bull market, when everyone's, you know, throwing money, you don't know who's who, you don't know what project is what. And I feel like I really appreciate these times where, you know, we can get on like calls with people like that, like you guys, and share time and talk about things like this during this market, because when that bull market comes, we're not going to have that privilege to be able to just talk to different founders of companies again and get on a call anytime we'd like right now, because we're all gonna be busy. You know,
Yep,
we're gonna
exactly.
Yeah. Wanted to keep the conversation moving and go on to another topic. And this is kind of in tandem. I'm going to switch these two around because I wanted a crypto 101 type of topic, just something more educational for people. And again, I mentioned at the beginning of this, we're going to be cutting this video up and sharing it on our social media channels, because I feel like there's a lot of alpha content for people that, we talk about macro and traditional finance. We talk about cryptocurrency. We talk about DeFi. We talk about Web3. We talk about NFTs. We talk about metaverse. It's a lot of different topics, and so there's a lot of information. And in cryptocurrency, one thing that you learn is that there's always more to learn.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to bring these up really quickly, which was that here's some gaming projects and social projects that have DeFi wrapped into them in some sense. The DeFi I'll go into them. The projects that I want to mention really quickly are God's Unchained, which is finally, it's a play to earn card game, which is finally doing its daily earn mechanism. The small bit of DeFi that I believe they have wrapped around their system is really just like a staking mechanism as well as liquidity pools. Tap me if I'm wrong there in the comments, but that's all that I've heard from them. So not very deep in the game. The other one is Dlive.tv, which had a long pause on their staking situation, where you can stake BTT tokens and earn a percentage, and I believe theirs is held up via other smart contracts as well. So I think that's what took them a while, is that I think initially they had a deal with BTT to just distribute these tokens, and now they needed to figure out how to actually wrap some type of DeFi around this. And for anybody who's lost at this point, I promise I'm going to bring it home for you. But those are the two that I wanted to bring up in particular. I don't think there's another one that I want to talk about. Those two. Oh, yeah. And then, I wanted to bring it up as a topic just because I think that, and they have done it to a degree, and I think that, some of these projects can probably do their DeFi better. One thing that we noticed over the last bull run was that a lot of projects launched tokens. They launched tokens. Whether it was a gaming project or that, projects had tokens. I feel like the place where a lot of projects failed was actually utilizing some concept, or even any of the concepts that are actually being used in DeFi. I think things were separated. And this is kind of building off of what Bitfiend was saying before. I'm not trying to step on your words in any inappropriate way or mess up your concept, so feel free to say, no, Smurf, you're wrong. But I think DeFi is the heart of Web3 and of all this stuff. And what I feel like games were missing during the last bull run was their connection to DeFi. Like, if the game had somewhat of an actual connection to DeFi, then I feel like it probably did that much better. But if it didn't have any connection to that type of stuff, they didn't understand tokenomics or economics, on traditional finance, and then what that's becoming on the blockchain, then they probably failed a little bit harder with whatever type of token they put out. Meanwhile, there are situations in DeFi that prevailed, and more Degen ones that prevailed. And there are more serious level DeFi ones that prevailed. It's all still Degen. The higher level, I would call things like Curve Finance, stablecoins, Compound, borrowing and lending, Aave. These are DeFi applications through and through that did not fail in the slightest bit, to the point that Three Arrows Capital and stuff like that, while the world's talking about DeFi failed, they're paying back their Compound loans. They're paying back a DeFi protocol. That's how much they didn't fail. These multi-billion-dollar companies and stuff like that had to pay them back. It's crazy. And I think once this next run starts and all the teams consolidate, because other than there being money that needed to consolidate underneath currencies or whatever, teams consolidate now. And so as these teams start to consolidate, and all these people that learned about crypto and Web3 and stuff like that start to consolidate, I think we're going to start to get a lot more games with actual DeFi behind them. And Money Match Gaming has tried to run that in some of our own senses, but being a small project and bull run is, sometimes you get greedy as a human, you just want to make money. But I see that all coming together and making some stellar projects in the future, where not only does a game launch a token, but the token has DeFi behind it. It has staking mechanisms. It's using trading fees because the game actually has a set up on an AMM or something like that, and it's taking the fees and distributing the fees in some sense, and maybe buying back up certain items, whatever they can do. Taking everything that we've learned and implementing that. And I think you have one killer game with like assets that are like off the wall, like just all of it. I think that's the real future for the metaverse. But yeah.
I also have a question. Have you guys ever heard of Decentral Games?
I was about to say the same thing.
Is that the casino?
Yeah.
Well, they're not. I guess they're no longer consider themselves a casino. But yeah, they are the ice poker.
I think I played a little bit of roulette in Decentral Games, maybe last year or so.
Yes. So that was right before that's why I say like they're kind of no longer a casino, because there were like certain regulations put in our world where casinos had to get lifted, and everything turned into free to play. So when the roulette that you was playing before, you could play for your mana, you could play ETH, you could play crypto, you could bet up your crypto. But now it's just free play. They have free play tokens that's the only thing you can play, just because countries like USA are banned and other countries around the world are banned from casino online gambling. So it didn't make sense.
I think. I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
So, I feel like there was a real issue with a lot of play to earn. Well, I don't know. Maybe just the ones that I experienced with, where they like the only thing they really did as far as DeFi to me was like where you could stake your tokens, and you could get a yield back in. So say if for example, say you stake your Decentraland tokens and you get a certain amount of Decentraland back, per day, per week, per month. And then the only thing you can do with that, not saying that the only thing you can do with mana is, sell it. I know you could buy NFTs with it, I think. But for those certain games that were coming out like every day, like you couldn't even play the game. All you could do is stake the tokens and get a yield back and sell those tokens. Like that's the only use case that a lot of these projects that call themselves play to earn or games have, is just staking their token and selling them. A lot of them don't even really have games that you can play now. I think
True, that was one thing I noticed about ice poker, because I have a wearable, like a level 5, but one thing I noticed is like it's not really fun to play. This is like I'm here to collect this ice, dump it to trade it over to mana, and I'm out. It's not really something I'm here to like. And like I don't look forward to ice poker. I look forward to getting my money that I pull from ice poker. But that's why like one thing they've been implementing is sit and go tournaments, and I feel like that's been trying to like kind of put a fire in. And I like how they're bringing in more games, but I feel if the game is just to make money, it's a job now. It's not really more of a game. And if you don't have that, one thing I do like about Decentral Games that they do have is they have a DAO, so they do let their community like let them know, like they offer all types of proposals of how to make the company better. Like even the sit and go tournaments that they just implemented, because the company's been downtrend, losing a lot of money from its treasury, and they've been looking for ways to like build cash flow and cut and build sinks. So the community offered up a sit and go type tournament, and they listened and they implemented that. So I definitely feel like having that DAO can really help when you're willing to listen to your community.
You said something really interesting that I think was interesting when you said sinks, which I think what you mean is having to use that token. Is that what you're referring to when you say sink?
Yeah. So like they really don't want people selling their tokens. So they've created like banked systems, and they've created like different types of like ice sinks in the time sinks in their game.
And so like would that be like a kind of, I mean that's a use case.
Yes. So basically like I've earned ice, and before I could take it out the moment I earned it. Now they've made it that you've got to bank your ice to a certain amount, a limit, before you take it out, to prevent their token from just tanking every single day. And
we've
it
seen
still
that, like,
tanks
crypto
every day.
blades before. Crypto blades
still tanking. It's still tanking.
It still tanks every day. It wasn't a
Hell
good.
yeah.
So like the, I think that Games is both a good and a poor example because they have issues. They don't have enough sinks. Um, there's no reason to actually hold ice at the end of the day. The only people that
Yep.
hold ice is somebody who wants to upgrade their wearable, which is an owner. For a delegate to hold ice, it's meaningless for them. Even with the sinks that they do, I don't even know if they have actual sinks. I mean, having to hold it till you bank just means that it's going to crash once a week instead of every day. Um,
I agree with
the
that, man. I feel
so
like
Mhm.
yeah,
we really need
there's a
need ways to use those tokens instead of just selling them. You
yeah,
know?
Yeah.
absolutely. And so like then I think a decent example is Wilderness P2E on Decentraland. There's actually a lot of P2Es on Decentraland. There's quite a few, and I'll point out Wilderness because their coin or their in-game coin is actually a token on a smart contract now, and they have liquidity. And while you can cash it out, I don't know if they're staking, but you use the coin to further your progress in the game. So it's a proper sync, and the coin is mostly very inexpensive now anyway. So it's not like it's not really hurting anybody's investment like ICE has over the last 6-8 months. But um, I'd like to point out Splinterlands because I think that their model is one of the best working models in the entire space. I don't know if you guys know what Splinterlands is. It is a card game, kind of like Gods Unchained, but it's on the Hive blockchain, and they have syncs. Like I'm staking my Splinter shards, which is their DAO token, and then dark energy crystals is like the token you earn from playing games. You have to pay dark energy crystals to join tournaments. The guilds need dark energy crystals in order to upgrade guild halls and certain things like that. So in order to run a successful guild, you have to literally charge your members a contribution fee every week or every season of like a certain amount so that the users together self-sustain the guild. You have to, there's
That's
also a
brilliant,
voucher.
to be honest with you.
Yeah, there's also a voucher system that if you stake SPS, you also earn vouchers, and the vouchers are used for like special things in the game. Like if you buy 100 packs, you get 10 free packs, or if you buy like a thousand packs, I think you get 100 free packs. So you would need 100 vouchers to qualify for that, or 10 vouchers to qualify for the 10 free packs. So it's costing you, $4 per card, so it's $400 for the 100, and then plus 10 vouchers, and you get the 10 free. So like you're using the vouchers, which it has a sync. Everything has a sync for the most part. There is a new thing coming out. I think it's like called Rift Watchers. I think it's a new deck. I haven't been keeping up enough with that game in the last month, but you're gonna need to spend Splinter shards in order to even get those cards. So like they're doing it right, and like you can rent out your cards, and when you rent out your cards, the users are paying you in dark energy crystals. And while the coin hit 1.5 pennies over the bull run, and it's down to like 1/10 of a penny, that's about its peg value as it is. So I just think, like I said, it's one of the best functioning blockchain games that I've ever seen because they have so much utility for all their coins.
You make me want to really look into Splinterlands now. Like
Yeah.
I had known about it before, but
Yeah, it's very intricate. Like the whole market, there's a whole DeFi system in it. Like you can
NFTs
buy
I
and
bought.
sell. Huh?
So those are my first NFTs, Splinterland NFTs.
Yep.
Did they start
They
on
were my
Tron?
first NFTs.
Wow.
No, they started on Steam. They were originally
Okay.
called Steam Monsters, but after the Steam to Hive fork, they went to Hive and renamed to Splinterlands because that's the name of their land. So they just called the game Splinterlands.
Yeah.
Or were they on Tron at all?
No,
No.
they don't like Tron.
Oh,
Like
you
nobody
can-
on Steam
you
like
can
like
send-
the
Yeah,
Tron
right.
drama.
Oh,
My bad,
yeah,
y'all.
that was crazy.
Don't
Tron
shoot.
drama
Don't
You
shoot.
can,
on
I'm pretty
Steam?
sure that you can send your Splinterlands cards to the Tron network for like selling purposes or whatever.
I thought that maybe I had played it on Tron before, but maybe it was a
Oh.
different game.
Yeah. And then there's also on the Binance Smart Chain, there's Mines of Delarnia.
Mm.
I don't know if you've heard of
Okay.
that.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
It's actually been listed by crypto.com, so I'm pretty bullish on it. And Mines of Delarnia, it's kind of basic right now, but
Was that a Seedify thing? Like one of their. It's like seeded.
I'm not 100% sure like where they sprouted from. But the game or like the in-game assets are all tokenized, and you can trade them for DAR, and they have like a literal built-in DEX in the game. And then the DAR, you have to pay DAR in order to mine. It's a mining game. You run around with a guy back like and you dig deep or whatever, and you get resources. And the armor is all NFTs on the Binance Smart Chain, and you use DAR to mint the armor, I believe. No, you use DAR to fucking mine, and then you mint the NFTs using the resources that you gather while you're mining. But my biggest thing about that game is you have to spend the DAR in order to earn it. And you have to, and they have a built-in DEX. Like you don't have to sell outside of the game. You don't have to go to OpenSea. You don't have to go to some decentralized platform. It's already there. And Splinterlands has the same thing. And if you actually use Hive and like check out Hive Engine and all the tokens they have in there, I mean, Hive Engine is actually pretty powerful.
Hive is a crazy blockchain that does not get anywhere near. Like that was one of the things during the last bull run that killed me, where like people would have these projects that come out of left field and be like, we're gonna start a Web3 needs a social media platform, and I'm like,
it's already there.
Yeah,
Hive.
I was like, it's already exists, and now we got not only Hive but Lens is coming into the market too. And I think just because of Ave's name share, it's going to have to be a second one.
There's still a bunch of
Odyssey,
Steemit forks as well on top of Steemit. There's a bunch.
Yeah,
we have plenty of decentralized platforms.
Exactly. I'm like, they already work though. Like, the people need to actually do the research and learn about the ones that are already working, and especially in the case of Steem and Hive, I'm like, you have ones that work and that have been paying people for years. Like Hive, the Hive community, I'm like, this thing is going over half a decade. What are you talking about? We need social media.
Right. Like
Silly.
I when I first got on Hive and Steam Monsters and Steemit, I bought a $2,500 computer with the idea that I'm gonna get that $2,500 back. And
did you get that $2,500 back?
It's at like 50 grand right now.
So,
like between all my Splinterlands cards and my Hive and Steam, it's pretty nice. Not bad.
Yeah. That was the most wonderful, and I still direct people to Hive. If you're learning crypto, you want to learn more about cryptocurrency, blockchain. It's a great community of people. Most of the biggest names in crypto, even if they don't currently use their Hive account, have Hive accounts.
Oh yeah.
The BitBoys, the Windios, the whoever you follow that's an actual Degen, they all have, like, if they're like claiming to be like an OG from like 2017, 16, they probably have a Hive account. They probably have a Hive account. It's crazy. So they actually know what it is.
It's funny because Decentraland has a Hive account, and the current community manager, he didn't even know it was there. Like I don't think he knew about Hive until I asked him about it. But the account is there. So the thing is that Decentraland first made an account on Steam, and then it forked. So now Decentraland by default has a Hive account as well.
Yeah. I'm like, I have not touched my Steam account since the fork. But I should probably sell my tokens at some point or something.
The last time I touched Hive was when when Justin took over, and like the whales or whatever witnesses came in and forked it, and they changed the terms of service. So I made a post, and the title was like, "Hey Steamtron," and it's highlighting this part that says that you're not allowed to even talk about third-party anything without explicit written permission from the Tron or from Steemit Inc., the new Steemit Inc. It was ridiculous. I'm just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So that's when I stopped using Steam, because it's like, how do you, like, this is like the platform for talking about third-party shit. And you're saying we need written permission from you?
That doesn't even make sense. But I mean, like, that whole situation that evolved where they forked is, I think, amongst OGs, I think it's a historical moment.
Oh well, it is. I talk about it. I talk about it all the time, and because there's issues even on Decentraland with the DAO and whales with like massive voting power coming in and downvoting a grant proposal or any kind of proposal, and so like they're controlling the DAO with their voting power. And I tell people all the time, like, let me take you back to this historical moment where the owner of Tron, billionaire investor, crypto fucking genius, went at us and tried to screw us, and we won. We got our blockchain.
Yeah, the people
won. So the people won against a billionaire. So like any millionaire VP whale that is on Decentraland, he doesn't stand a chance against a community that can come together and make it happen.
Yeah, that was the first time of like, blockchain wants all these use cases and stuff like that, and we want use cases to see something actually work other than Bitcoin. And people often, they have the question of, well, what happens when Bitcoin or Ethereum becomes too this or that? Essentially, like it happened with Ethereum before, but Ethereum forked. like Hive has forked, Steam Hive forked.
Yeah.
Other currencies might fork if something, like, if it really got, and I think the same thing could happen to Bitcoin. Like, and that's the thing that I feel like that's the other layer of Bitcoin that I feel like people don't want to talk about, but could definitely happen. Which is just like, if it got too crazy and like governments were like, yeah, we just totally got control of this and whatever. Like, what's gonna stop the consensus of the network that wants to be decentralized from, I don't know. I think things are gonna get really, really interesting out there. Then I'm like, I know there's a lot of mining pools and whatnot, but I think with Bitcoin, with Ethereum, with the combined sense of them, and the brains out there, I think they just do something like shut off all the mining pools, like from Axis, and they just move. I think the brains win. I think the brains in the community would win. I think the big brains that are out there in the world would like have great ideas. The community will upvote it in DAO sense, and the people win again.
I think that's why it would be interesting for people to learn about nodes and stuff like that, and how they work, and try to operate one.
Yep.
So that when that moment comes, you can actually be a part of that moment.
True. Before I open this up to any like open discussion and like last topic things, or like anything that's come to mind, or things that people want to discuss this week before we head out, I wanted to jump into a little portion where we talk about some crypto edu. Let's learn some things about cryptocurrency, folks. Yay. So right here, this is kind of something that snuck in today. This is a website that most people in DeFi use to track chains, total value lock, or TVL, which is total value locked yields of certain projects. This is not the only tool, and if you want tools, go find more. But like type in Google what's like DeFi Llama or something like that. But this tool specifically is DeFi Llama. I was using this earlier to check out the TVL on some of these top chains to try to find Dogechain down here, now sitting at chain number 52 out of left field in August, sitting at the 52nd largest chain in all of cryptocurrency. Congratulations, Dogechain. That's beating out DeFi Kingdoms, which had a nice early start. Hedera, whatever the heck, I've seen that all around, had an early start. Stellar,
the Hedera hash graph.
Yeah. H-bar. Yeah.
H-bar,
yeah. Beating out XLM, which has been around for years. Beating out Cardia. Everybody trying to make that work. Beating out Cadena. Everybody trying to make that work. Beating out a lot of blockchains is Dogechain. Maybe don't sleep on it, because $10 could go a long way with Dogechain. That's like my ad for Dogechain. It's not really an ad. I'm not a financial advisor. It's not financial advice. But today's learning segment, other than this tool, there's one other tool that I want to share with you guys. So that was DeFi Llama. This is Dex Tools. This is for getting your Degen activity on, and you can go to all these different blockchains, including Dogechain, and you can check out the top tokens. Just look at the top. Check out the top tokens. Check out new tokens entering the market. Check out the liquidity pairs, etc. One thing to note, I'm just going to click on a random one. click on this treat one because I think it's trash, is that liquidity. Other than a token's price, the most important thing to pay attention to with the token, other than knowing how to read the smart contract and make sure that it's actually open source and it has the right wallet setup and etc., is the liquidity, so that you don't get rugged. Check out the liquidity. Yeah, cool. So for your actual learning lesson today, we're talking about 2 indicators. One of my favorite indicators is people, to be honest. So I love people as an indicator. I often say when certain people start talking about crypto or whatever, that's a good time to get in or get out of the market. But this indicator is more to do with trading, because part of cryptocurrency, you learn to trade in some senses, even if you're not really selling that often. Sometimes you make a sell and the market will move drastically the next day or the next week, and you're like, I could have held on a little longer and taking that 50% pump with my sell. And things like this help. These are known as indicators. They make you a better trader. So I'm sharing 2 very simple indicators with you today that you can pop on any of these tools that I already showed you. They have little indicator sections, and you can pop in these indicators I'm going to mention. The first one is called a Bollinger Band, or Bollinger Bands. Bollinger Bands are typically, I say typically because I believe there's like another sort of them, I believe. But 3 lines. There is the upper band, the middle band, and the lower band. And the middle band on Bollinger Bands, this image we'll have to do right now. The middle line is basically an average of the general price of it, or like a EMA, a moving average. So that's what the middle line represents. And I used another term in crypto that might be too advanced, but it's an average of whether the price is up or down. That's the middle line. So in crypto, you want to use this middle line, if you're using a Bollinger Band, as the bottom of the Bollinger Band means that the price is, on average, going down. If it's down in that lower band, it's also, it's down, and that's probably, it might be looking at a bottom, is what you're looking at when it's on the bottom of the band. If you're doing like swing trade type situations. So typically in trading, you look at the bottom of the band as a time when you buy assets, if it's at the bottom of the band. And if it's approaching the middle of the band, then you consider selling your asset. So this middle line basically effectively works as support and resistance level. So support being if you were on top of the band and you were coming down in price, then you would be using this as support, aka it's less likely to go underneath this that much. Like it can still touch underneath there, and it still will entirely. And then the exact opposite from the bottom portion of the band, it's less likely to break that resistance level then, because like you imagine a ceiling pushing down on you. It's like, oh, that's the resistance. So it's less likely, if the price is underneath that middle band, then it's less likely to break above the middle band. And you need to look at the middle band as a time when maybe you take a sell on that trade. So that's basically how Bollinger Bands are used. When the band is, next part of things is when the band is contracted, so when it's a lot tighter together. And I'll use this token as an example. See if my crappy keyboard works. Okay. When the band is nice and tight together, that means that the price is contracting. So on average, it gives you like an average of the price. And when it's tight together, that means the price is contracting. So prices get nice and tight. And sometimes, and I'm saying, this is a good thing to remember, because sometimes prices get so big or so small that it's hard to mentally think about. But when you have a visual representation of it, it's that much easier to trade. So tight because price is barely moving. And when the price starts to get really volatile, either to the upside or the downside, the bands typically expand outward. So they get wider. And so in times of volatility, the bands get wider. In this sense, if it was on the upside of the band and the band started to widen, you would go, it's starting to get really volatile, most likely to the upside. And it already started to show you that in representation. Like you'll start to see those things, type of things. So it could always take whatever direction, but that's generally how a Bollinger Band works. The other thing, my other indicator is a Heikin-Ashi. So I believe I'm saying it right. It's a Japanese term, which means average bar in Japanese. And so Heikin-Ashi candles are my other favorite indicator that I want to share with you guys today. And type that in here. Oops. I think it's an I first. No, maybe on. What do I type in? Oh, you know what I'm doing? It's not that type of indicator. It's not under this. It's under the candle types. So click that, and before I go into it, I'll drop this down to 3 minutes just so we can totally see it in action. Actually, that's probably a bad one. There's not enough volume on this token. It'll still be fine here. I'm going to click Heikinashi, and as you can see, it changed a lot more of these candles into red. So this is Heikinashi, this is normal. This is Heikinashi, this is normal. What does it do? It's basically the same as Bollinger Band. It's an average. So it basically squishes candles together, if you want like a type of visual, type of mind representation. Imagine instead of 3 candles, those 3 candles become 1 candle. And it's the very specifics of it. I had to read through this. That's basically it. That's what it's doing. And so instead of us seeing that individual candle that like might be an outlier, instead you're seeing more of a specific trend. So this is a good indicator to use to basically, again, as I just said there, to suss out trends. If you're using a Heikinashi candle on this is a lower time frame, but if I was also using it on a larger time frame, like say days or something like that, you would be able to sniff out a trend change because the candle turned red. And if your Heikinashi candle turned red, then the trend is probably starting to change. It's more than one day in a row of that situation, or more than one 15-minute span of a candle. And so for anybody who doesn't understand candles are just different time frames depending on what you have that candle set to. And part of the candle represents the open, and I believe his lower part represents the close. Honestly, I forget which, but it's the open and the close of the candle. And that's our indicator thing from a Trustless Degen today. Yeah, hopefully some of that information sticks with folks. I feel like these are 2 indicators that can immediately make you a much better trader.
Thanks for sharing that. I usually don't trade, so I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, no problem. I do a lot in crypto.
I definitely want to say Smurf and Satoshi. I sat down and literally sat back, took my notebook out, popped my pen out. I started taking notes. You guys taught me a lot, bro. For real, I just want to thank you for the knowledge. Like, this was amazing. I know what your Twitch name is now, so just expect the OSBVMT follow.
Thank you.
I really learned a lot from you guys, and I just want to say thank you as well for having me and Alpha and Biffin up today. It was a very true honor in meeting you guys and participating in your podcast as well. And dope session, bro. I learned a lot. You guys, every topic you guys spoke about, I knew very little of. So this is why you heard very little from me. It was more of an educational session for me, honestly. I learned a lot from you guys. You guys taught me a lot from behind the scenes and just different perspectives, and opened up a different gate for me to actually understand that there is another world out there that's actually very closely intertwined with the metaverse, and it is crypto. And what happens in one world has a cause and effect. And there is a chain reaction, like a domino effect. What affects one could affect the rest. And you guys taught me that today. So I do want to say thank you for that knowledge, and it will carry on with me. And I will also share that knowledge in my space as well. Recommending your space as well as a very, 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 very good spot to come and get some knowledge about Web3 as well. So Satoshi, Smurf, appreciate you guys. I can hear you guys about to wrap it up, but I just want to say thank you. And personally, I just also thank Biffin as well for actually introducing me to the offer and the opportunity into meeting both of you guys. 2 amazing individuals, very well knowledgeable and humbled individuals in the Web3 space as well. So thank you guys, and I appreciate you. And I hope to actually see you guys another time as well back on your podcast. It was a true honor. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming out. Thanks for coming out for sure.
Yeah, man, I appreciate the kind words, and I feel like what you said earlier about how things in crypto affect the metaverse. I feel like that was really insightful, and I think that's really interesting. I always knew that they kind of went hand in hand, but I never really thought about how things on like the macro crypto level really do affect individual metaverses, and how how the community is affected as well.
I agree, and thank you for all the knowledge. Appreciate you guys once again, and I hope to have you guys maybe sometime drop this stream in Decentraland and give some of that knowledge to our Decentraland citizens, as I call them, or I call us. And it'll be a true honor to have you maybe in the metaverse one time and just open that bridge and opportunity, and just letting the people know that there is more out there. I know that I do share similar visions with other people as well, and they think the way I think, and it would be dope and pretty cool just to have two humbled, very very educated individuals in the Web3, and especially outside of the sources of the Web3 and what's going on that's yet to be even sourced out to the surface. You guys are on it. You guys would be very very good individuals in our space as well, just to give that awareness. So if you guys are ever interested, definitely reach out to Biffine, Alpha, and myself, and I would definitely really love that opportunity for you guys to come over one day. It would be a true honor, and we'll even set a party up for you guys. Real talk, yeah. We'll make a nice big party for you guys. It'll be a true honor to have you guys.
Down for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, right. Hell yeah, that'd be cool.
I'm definitely down, especially if I can wear any of the wearables that I have on the podcast.
Man, we'll drop you some of ours.
I'll have to get a wearable. I have to.
Yeah, we'll definitely hook you up.
I created like 2 wearables. Alpha created a couple. And a couple of our members have some as well. So if you guys ever come over, I'm not speaking on Alpha's behalf. My bad, I cut you off, cousin. But on my behalf, you definitely have a Biometa skin and a Biometa cannon, definitely in your wallet the moment you hit Decentraland. So just let me know on that. I got you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have some wearables that I got airdropped to me. I forget exactly what they are, but I think that Decentraland is a lot of fun. Just as like a base level metaverse that anyone can access without having to do any like email sign up or anything. My first couple of times on Decentraland, dude, I was just amazed that as a space we were already there. People, I fear that when people talk about the metaverse, they're gonna think about like Facebook or like Meta.
Oh my goodness.
With those fucking like those half bodies, the big ass heads, and I fear that that's what it's gonna become. But I have real hope with stuff like Decentraland and like Sandbox that hopefully we don't go down that route.
Wait. I had to throw the name in there. World Wide Web, because like everybody forget about World Wide Web when it comes to metaverses, but I really like that project. If you guys aren't familiar,
World Wide Web.
It's like
or whatever.
Yeah, it's
made
like
by hacker.e.
Yeah, it's a top-down type of metaverse. Yep. So it's like old school scroller. I loved it. Going in there and the story and like the way the story keeps evolving.
Yeah,
keep
I can't wait till they open it up again because I missed out on the first.
Is it closed down now?
grind.
You can't play? Or...
No, they're coming soon with an update or something. Last I checked.
Oh man, yeah, it was.
Yeah, I'm real bullish on that one.
Seriously.
And that's the thing about metaverses is, metaverse is really just like the internet in a virtual setting. Decentraland isn't one metaverse, where Sandbox is not one metaverse. It's together they represent the metaverse. Mm-hmm. So like Meta rebranding to dominate metaverse and the whole name, it was a very poor tactic, very poorly executed.
Only tricks muggles.
They're trying to say that their metaverse is the one and only metaverse or the best metaverse, when if their metaverse was interoperable with Decentraland or Sandbox or NFTs or some shit like that, then they can call themselves a part of the metaverse. But at this point, it's just a virtual world.
Yeah. They don't. Maybe they just don't even have that vision, which sounds crazy.
Right. And Decentraland is more or less in the same avenue, but these parcels and the way they function, you can almost look at it as a 3D website, where today people are used to you load up your computer and you go on your desktop, load up a browser to browse the internet, whereas the word internet could go away entirely, and you're not booting up your computer to browse the internet, you're logging into the metaverse.
Yeah. I used to joke around and say, when people used to ask me, how can you simplify what's the metaverse? I say simple. Think of Web 2, Web 3. The Web 2, you're on the metaverse. Web 3, you're in the metaverse.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it too.
And people can actually understand that. Oh, okay, so I'm immersively interacting with this in a virtual setting. Correct. It's like a parallel universe of what you're seeing in the real world, just digitally modified to be recreated
animated basically, or you can say as a JOB file or any render format to the world being visualized either on your computer, your phone, or any digital asset format. So I mean, it's revolutionary because you see many metaverses with different quality of textures. So some of them have lower poly textures, some have higher poly textures. OpenSea the other side has like super high graphics versus the sandbox. It's like pixelated metaverses. So each metaverse has its pros and cons and has its own aesthetics and its signature, signature look. But again, it's all about the community and what you're looking for and what community you are a part of and you're looking to be a part of, because it's all about creating diverse communities. So the more diversity we have in our planet, the more metaverses we will see eventually. Every community is a metaverse, basically. Think about it as a chat room or a group chat. You can sign into random, open up Twitter and see anybody hosting up a session, and you just pop in there like, hey, I just came in, hopped in, saw shill, NFT shill, and want to share my project. It's like the same thing. You have your own little private space, but it's just gonna keep growing, guys. Gonna keep growing, and we're still early in every aspect, crypto, and in metaverses. We're super early, like Biffy said earlier. Early. Once we hit this next bull run, it's gonna be, I think, the turning point in a lot of things in life here. It's in the Web3 and crypto.
Over the next 10 years, I read this on an article. There's some major analyst or some shit said that the crypto market could boom to a $200 trillion market in the next within the next 10 years. So like we're looking at 1 to 200x from where we are today. Like pretty much no matter what you hold.
Everything goes
and it's funny because you mentioned the other day about my buddy just throwing a dart at a board and buying stocks. Every step of the way since 2014, I could have put the first 100 or so coins on a list or on a wheel and spun the wheel and hit it big on whatever I put money into.
It's like the coin. I used to call it the Coinbase effect, where which is basically just new listings. But I remember one summer I did like a little tutorial series for people that are interested in getting in crypto, and I said, jump on Coinbase, and I was doing it, get into crypto, and like we got into crypto with Money Match Gaming with $0 invested, which is like a fun story to be like, yeah, we made thousands of dollars from zero, and that's what we just kept investing. But like I started a lot of people off with that, and step one was to create an account on Coinbase, do the free tutorials, and then it was like all of 2 months after those tutorials. I think the tutorials at the time totaled like either $20 or $40 or something like that they give you, not including the friend invites. So who knows what that could have got to if somebody's really hustling. But within 2 months, it like the account that I used with $40 became a $200 account. I was like, so you got $200 for free if you did this, and you just sat some of it in there, and then you've been doing the Hive blog posts and stuff like that, documenting your journey, making some, your introductory post on Hive is a few bucks on Hive.
Yeah. Hive and Splinterlands is like one of my biggest successes. I mean, besides like buying Ethereum since it was $1.
I found it too late.
My best story is mining 16 ETH in January, February, March, April, May. I mined 16 ETH in April of 2015, and then on May 3rd 2015 my electric got shut off for the entire summer because I used my electric money to open a business, which I don't regret that one bit because I still have the business. But I just held on to those 16 ETH for 7 years in like this old wallet that like it's literally a legacy wallet that I created when ETH first launched. There was no GUI. You had to use a Geth login and all that bullshit. I was using Linux at the time, and it was crazy. Like I just never touched it, and then even after the fork, so I still actually have like 16 ETH Classic in there as well.
Like, so you got double the ETH, baby.
Yeah. I mean, one's not worth as much as the other, but
yeah, like tell that to my Bitcoin Silver.
I even said in 2015 when ETH launched that it would follow the footsteps of Bitcoin, and I think it's going to hit 50 grand eventually. I still believe ETH is still going to continue to follow in the footsteps of Bitcoin. Anybody that may or may not believe me should like read the white paper. If you have not read the Ethereum white paper and you own any amounts of Ethereum, you need to read it, because it will blow your mind if you just read it and try to understand it. Because the biggest thing was that blew me away was the descriptive text that mentions how Ethereum is designed to literally run entire branches of government autonomously. So like this is like the early stages of describing what a decentralized autonomous organization is. And so like I've understood exactly what a DAO is since the beginning. I mean, smart contracts eliminates lawyers, it eliminates notary public. Like there is so much that you don't even need to worry about when it comes to smart contracts. It makes for a completely trustless environment. And I mean, it's no better title for this podcast than Trustless Degens, because trustless is the key to the success of Web3 and cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, man, well put.
And hey, I just had to jump in there just because I have to jump off now. I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for allowing us to come on this spaces, and I learned a lot from this conversation. It was a great conversation, so thank you again, guys. And for sure, I'll always feel welcome. Beavers will welcome you open arms whenever you guys want to come over to Decentraland. We'll have a party and all, and we got some Beavers Ledger wallets, hoodies, and all waiting for you guys. We'll see you guys soon.
Alrighty, see ya. Thank you, Ian. Thank you for coming by.
Thank you again, Smurf and Rick.
I love hoodies, man. So
I'd like to point out that Alpha is a genius. The thing is, a lot of people they make wearables for Decentraland, and they use catchy phrases, but then they Decentraland them, turn them into Decentralandish phrase. So like, this guy comes out with a hoodie that's got a map of Decentraland in the back, and then the front says straight out of Decentraland, like straight out of Compton. So I mean, it actually fits really nice. It's one of my favorite hoodies, and Alpha made it. So
oh, man.
Appreciate that, Biffy.
Yeah, man.
Love you, man. Hey, you guys have a great night, man.
All right,
take care again.
Too, man.
Thank you.
So with Alpha leaving us, I feel like it's time to hit that hammer one more time. Are there any last comments that we want to make? I feel like we could go all night, but I do want to keep this around. Like max is like the 2-hour mark. So any last comments from anybody in the group tonight of the Trustless Degens here?
No, I mean, I just definitely thank you for letting us come on here. This was awesome. I've definitely been like wanting to branch out, because we've been doing so many events within Decentraland. I think it's important that Decentraland reaches out to other avenues, and so like that's what my goal was, to get people that might not be on Decentraland or know much to get on Decentraland. And like I've been asking Eric to get on forever, for a long time, and then the other day he said, I promise I'm gonna get on Decentraland. So I sent him a meme of a skeleton sitting on a bench saying like I'm waiting.
Oh god.
So definitely appreciate you guys. It's been super informative. You guys talked about a lot that even I struggle to follow because I'm so busy with everything else. And so I want to say though, like, drop your ETH wallet or Polygon wallet in the chat.
Oh yeah.
And I'll send you guys one of my waifumons. So I don't know if you guys know what waifumon is. Have you heard of waifumon NFTs?
Inform me.
So waifumons are created by a legendary goat known as Aaron Loop. He's on Twitter. You can find him. It's actually the second largest NFT collection in the world. I don't, for the sake of like not misrepresenting his Waifumon collection properly, I just don't know enough to like spit it out right now. But it's like a very popular and official Decentraland NFT collection, and so he has a lot of streamers and people within the community that they have their own Waifumon basically. And back in December, I was at an event. Aaron Loop was there. I talked to him. I was like, hey, you know, my daughter loves your Waifumons, and so like I've been collecting them ever since for her. She loves to look at them, and he offered to have her design her own.
Oh,
so I was like, what? So like she's the youngest. She did it when she was 8 at the time. So she's the youngest child, or the first child, I believe, to actually have a Waifumon NFT. She designed it herself. And so yeah, if you drop your wallet, it's believe it or not, it's one of the rarest. I didn't think that would happen, but there's people listing it for 1 ETH, and it has not dropped.
Wow, that's
that.
pretty crazy.
So I'll send you guys each one.
Yeah. Dropped mine. I've been to Decentraland once or twice, but it's been a long time. And as you said, there's so many things happening in blockchain that it's like, you know, it's
hard to even keep up.
Yeah.
Like I've got so many blockchain games, and you know, I'm staking my cake on Pancake Swap Syrup Pool.
My poor SPS has just been chilling for like a year.
My SPS has been staking. Everything is just
it's just in there.
I check it all the time, and there's not enough time in the day for me to deal with even all the games, the blockchain games that I have. I mean, let me just go over a small list, but I mean, there's Decentraland, obviously, Blanco's Block Party,
Whoop.
Liquid Lands. You probably haven't heard of that one.
I have not. Throw that alpha.
Yeah, liquidlands.io. You can use like CryptoKitties and a bunch of different NFT collections to play the game. Trying to find, I have a list because it's a lot. We have Undead Blocks. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's like Call of Duty Zombies, but on the blockchain. It's still very new. Rev Racing.
Yeah, I love Rev.
You have to KYC in order to actually earn from Rev Racing, but I think it's worth it.
Animoca's gonna be huge.
Yeah, Mines of Delarnia. I already said Liquid Lands is big time, the MMORPG.
Rect and I both have some big time space.
Yep. So, really nice. That's awesome. So yeah, I play big time. I don't have space though.
Come on by.
I think big time.
I have a bigger list. I'm missing something. There's one called Flower Patch. And then we have like Decentraland games, which I mean they're all pretty addicting, and you're never gonna have time to do it all. You have Wondermine, Wilderness P2E, Exodus by JTV, he's a very popular Decentraland streamer. Dice Masters, Ice Poker, which is Decentral games. The Aquarium or Holy Ones. They have a few. They're trying to like reinvent a lot of like little things. They had like a rock paper scissors thing going on, and a Mana Mania where like you put in mana and it just draws a winner and you might win. You have StarQuest, Ethermon, Golfcraft, 8 Meta Balls. There's like a farming game that's actually kind of fun. There's so much to do on Decentraland. It's ridiculous.
Which was the?
I want to add on.
The what?
Sorry about that, Satoshi. I just want to say before I head inside, I'm actually heading inside to my IRL job at the hospital in my local city in New York and up in Manhattan. But I just want to give you guys a formal invitation. I know you guys said you guys been to Decentraland like maybe once or twice, but tomorrow we have a very big birthday party going on for one of the collaborators that I work with for a company called Meta Truckers, which they do a lot of events. But not only are we hosting a party at their location, we're hosting that party in more than one location. One of those locations also
is our home, which is Beverse. So I would definitely love for you guys to come through to the first stop, which is actually our location called the Beverse HQ. And if you guys could just, come through, we'll drop you some wearables, like I said. And,
we definitely got to give you a tour of the whole place. I mean, show you the hot spots and all that.
And if you guys want to hop on the stream or whatever you guys want to do and show the world what it is, have this amazing talks again, because these talks is fire.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie to you, man.
Awesome.
I like this. I like this session, and definitely count me in for many more sessions. If you ever want to forward me just the live, just to tune in, count me in. I'm definitely going to fully support you guys. You guys have amazing content. The knowledge is solid. Everything is accurate. And I'm just very happy to be a part of this session. I learned so much today with you guys. And like Alpha said, it was a true honor. And definitely count us in if you guys ever want to just consistently come through one day and permanently migrate into the Web3 and Decentraland. We're here for you guys. We definitely have our doors open for you at any given time. So I'm sorry to cut it short, guys. Thank you again. I'm walking in the hospital as we speak. I'm sorry for that background noise, if there is any. And have a good night, guys. Always blessings.
You too, man.
Yeah, have a good night. Thank you for joining us.
Take care, guys. Have a good one.
Yeah, man. Take care.
Yeah, we'll definitely. I'll probably make an MMG challenge to some folks. Like to reward them in our own currencies and stuff like that to go try out different blockchain things, which is just a win-win for them, for our actual followers and stuff. Because I'm like, you guys just end up making money off of me wanting you to educate yourselves. So, whatever.
What time is your guys' event tomorrow? The birthday party?
Tomorrow, shit. I'm not even sure.
Okay, that's all good.
I'll figure it out. We'll list it in the chat.
I'll definitely write it in the chat as soon as I know. I know it's probably gonna be somewhere between 6 and 8 Eastern. But don't quote me on that. I know he told me earlier, but I got so much shit going on I don't remember.
Bees like that.
One last thing. You said that there was a Call of Duty Zombies like blockchain game, and I didn't catch the name of it.
It's called Undead Blocks.
Okay. Cool.
Yep. You need I don't know if they're still allowing you to play or try for free. I think they are, but I'm not 100% because I haven't tried it in a while. I've been a little busy, but it's actually pretty fun, and you need to have an NFT, like a NFT weapon pack, in order to play, at least when it goes live. When it goes live. But last I heard, there was like a free way to try it, and I'm hoping that's still the case. But definitely worth checking out.
Nice.
Sounds good, man.
All right, folks. I'm going to put the hard stop in. Because I feel like we could go all night. And I know I would look again, like I work in DeFi, and so I work in Web3. This is what I do. Like, they don't believe me. They're like, "Are you tired? Are you gonna be okay? This and that. You've been working hard." I'm like, "Look, man. Like, I got up early this morning and did Web3. I'm working for you guys, Web3. When I get off of this stuff, I'm gonna go do some more Web3."
Right. Well, all I do is Web3.
Yeah.
Not really, because I run a business, and I work for a concrete service too. So it's all I do is work, but my off time is Web3.
Yeah,
it's my playground.
Yep, exactly. I mean, and it's a great place for people that love to learn. If you're a hustler, you love to learn, you're interested in new technology, it's the place for you. But yeah, unless anybody else wants to, just want to say goodbye or whatever, I'm gonna wrap it. Thank you for joining us. Last names on screen are myself, Smurf, Rex Satoshi, and Bitfiend. And hopefully, I can't speak for Bitfiend. Hopefully, we'll have you, become a consistent member. Because
I would definitely be glad to come back. That was awesome. I'll have to do a little bit more research, so I have more topics to talk about too. But
yeah, no worries there. We mentioned before, we're getting better week over week. The first week, like the guys were like, "We can't see you on screen when you're talking, Smurf." I'm like, I was rushing. I just got out of work. I'm gonna make it better next week. It's gonna be one of those slow progresses where every week it just gets better and better, and it gets more formatted. And we still want to have these open, like, chill conversations, because I feel like that's a great way. I don't want to interrupt people's train of thought when they're flowing, and like you said some amazing stuff tonight, but it's just gonna get better. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us. Trustless Degens. Check us out on all social media underneath Money Match Gaming. When we posting this out, we probably will start some of our own channels too, but want to get these ones. You got to branch slowly. Yeah. Thank you for joining us. See you guys in the next one.
Bye.